Hi friends, probably many of us have heard the words, treat people the way you want them to treat you. This is a great rule that always works. It is a kind of boomerang that will return in due time, but this rule does not always work with all people. Okay, if you treat good people well and they do the same in return, but what if you run into a person who basically doesn't care how you treat them? The answer to this question, you will learn from this story. Melina Salazar works in a small roadside cafe in the Texas provincial town of Brownsville. She grew up in this place, later graduated from college, and then decided to return home. Having settled in this institution many years ago, she was never able to leave it again. The girl loves her work and her guests, who come to lunch with whole families or just drop in for a snack. For her, absolutely every visitor was valuable and expensive, but as usually happens, among all the guests there must be someone who will stand out from the general mass. And this particular client was a short old man named Walter Sword. For the past 16 years, he visited this cafe absolutely every day, sat down in the same place and waited for Melina to come to him with the menu. Walter Sword was not a good-natured old man, as many people who left large tips might think. On the contrary, all the employees called him a miser. He was constantly dissatisfied with something. The coffee was cold, the omelette was overcooked, the butter was not the right color at all, and so it was on every visit. Naturally, the waitresses could not stand all the attacks of Mr. Sword, so they refused to serve him, and only Melina, somehow, could calmly endure all the old man's husbands. On the eternally dissatisfied face, the girl answered with a dazzling smile and always asked about his health, and in response, as usual, she heard only one rude thing, "You can't wait, what do you care, you decided to get me?" All employees of the institution claimed that the old man was simply obnoxious and no one wanted to serve, or even welcome him to the institution. Many people asked Melina why she put up with him, but the girl always continued to serve the old man with a smile. The girl was not offended and even understood that all the grumbling was due to the fact that Walter is a lonely person and just requires a little attention, and since the town is small, the girl also knew that the 89-year-old man, a war veteran and has long lived on his own, without children or a spouse, so despite his attacks, always smiled and continued to tell him, knowing what response would follow after her words. But one day it happened that Walter Sword stopped coming to the cafe. Melina began to worry, is everything all right with the old man? Day after day passed, but the regular customer never appeared again. Employees of the institution only joked that they say it's good, now it will be someone else's nerves, but the girl was sincerely worried about her grandfather. Fearing the worst, Melina began looking through the obituaries section of the local newspaper and found what she had been dreading. In the section, she read that at the age of 89, Walter Sword had died in his sleep at home a few days ago. As the girl herself told me, I really felt sorry for the old man, even though he was grumpy and always dissatisfied, but as strange as it may sound, I became attached to him. And after learning about the death in my soul became sad and empty. Perhaps this would have been the end of the story of these two relationships of 16 years, between two people I hardly know, if not for what happened next. The very next day after Melina found out about the death, Miser Sword again reminded of himself, and it happened like this. At noon, a new customer came to the cafe, which immediately attracted attention from the outside. Previously, no one had seen him here. He was in a strict suit, which is not often seen in this cafe, but it was interesting that the stranger was not going to order anything. He was looking for Melina Salazar for an important matter. The girl wondered who this man was and why he needed her, and for a split second even bad thoughts crept in. The man began by saying that he was Walter Sword's lawyer and had come here to announce the last will of the deceased. Of course, Melina could not understand what she had to do with it. The lawyer then asked the girl to sit down and explained that just a few days before his death, his old man called him to her, and then announced that all the money that he has, which is more than $50,000, your favorite car, to whom he even forbade to touch your house in the city, he bequeaths one who has long years of his suffering, and all this time, is the only ray of light for him in this life. It was a kind of gratitude, for her kindness and condescension to his cool temper. It turned out that all these years, Sword went to the cafe, just for her. She was the only one who could understand him and calmly endured grumbling, but he could not behave otherwise, such he was. There on the spot, the girl burst into tears, because showing kindness to this old man, she did not want to get something in return, she just wanted to make his day better. Well, this story once again serves as a reminder that only kindness and love can change cold hearts, and by showing this quality to others, we get much more. It is not known how Milena's inheritance will be distributed, although she has long said that she dreams of her own restaurant. And now she definitely won't have any questions about who to name it after. Friends, let's just be kinder. Well, that's all for today. Write whether you like this story, rate it, and see you soon.